one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. This gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2-3. 1, 2, 3. Finish.
Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. You gotta fight for your right to party! You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps because they know what happens next. So without further ado, free smoke. Look, scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much or how you doing what it meant to me, but motherfuck all that. I don't even offer up the time to make the call back. Stupid Lodo, if they don't get the picture now, man, I crop them out of the photo. I can't relate to my peers. Been doing this shit for years. I'm motivated by fears. I took the wheel and I steer. My sound not dictated by fuck boys in Atlanta. Stay gifted like this album was ghost written by Santa Bars forever, like they decided to throw me under Slammer. Every song's a hit like they picture me underhanders. I could drop a million songs, but they never gon' understand us. Soapbox sermons for niggas never giving chances. Fight our whole lives to get these weak ass advances. Work twice as hard for the shit that they getting handed. And this ain't even nothing we chose, nigga, we branded. Still can't tell why all of these niggas mad at me. I'm trying to get 100 so I can put my team on salary. Give it all to the art, man, I turn my life to a gallery. Man, damn, what a fucked up masterpiece. 1,100 shots and I swear, man, I felt them all. If we ain't even good on our block, man, who can we call? Pre-decline state of mind, we broke crabs in the barrel. Got us fighting our folk, man, this shit just a life of peril.
Good morning, guys. I'll get to the point right away. I'm retiring for good. I know the process was a pretty big deal last time, so when I woke up this morning, I figured I'd just press record and let you guys know first. So it won't be long-winded. Like, you only get one super emotional retirement essay, and I used mine up last year. So really thank you guys so much, to every single one of you, for supporting me, my family, my friends, my teammates, my competitors. I could go on forever. There's too many. Thank you guys for allowing me to live my absolute dream. I wouldn't change a thing. Love you all.
Happy Sunday to everybody out. Yo, y'all still be going to church on Sundays? I ain't been to church in God knows how long, but you know, shout out to the people out there going into church on Sunday, singing the hymns. Now, listen, I done been to a white church before. I done actually been to 2 white churches. I didn't actually sit in a service for one. So one white church that I went to, I can't even remember the name of it. I think it's called like Sharp Road or some shit like that. The one white church I went to, bro, it was like a fun weekend. So it wasn't really like church service. It was more like a fun service type of thing that they made real fun. And this shit was crazy. Like, it was the first time I had ever been to an all white church for one. And so I was like, yo, and I came with my church, a group of young people from my church. So it was a lot of nothing but black people, as a matter of fact, at the church I went to. We went to this thing. I don't know what I was expecting. I was so young at the time. I think I was I probably was in middle school. I can't even remember what grade I was in at that time. That shit was lit though. It was a dude there, bro, who could throw a football like 50, 60 fucking yards down a field, bro. Me and him was slinging that thing. This back when I thought I was going to be a quarterback, because I could throw real good. But then arm injuries piled up. And now I can't throw a football nowhere near as good as I used to be able to throw a football. I can still throw a football. But like after 2 throws, especially if I try to throw it deep, my arm's done. Bruh, I'm telling you, when you fighting, bro, I don't know how you're going to be able to be a fighter and a quarterback, bro. Because the damage you take from kicks to the arm, punches to the arm, you know, wrestling, all that type of stuff, bro. It just take its toll. So I knew I wasn't going to end up being no quarterback. But this dude was slinging that shit. But this not the moral of the story. And then I went, that church was fire, though. So I was used to, when we ate at the church I went to, I was used to like potluck. Like, and I guess that just meant, you know, people make their own food and bring it. So it was always, but eventually my church got tired of that because people was bringing nonsense or wasn't bringing nothing. So they started a committee where like a group would bring something each time it was Sunday service where we ate. Most of the time, though, it was always like baked chicken, green beans, corn, mashed potato, not mashed potatoes, bread. Like it really wasn't never nothing extravagant. When we went to this white church, bruh. And maybe it was just like this because it was like the fun weekend, John. But they had Chick-fil-A one day. They had pizza the next day. And it was some, what did they have? I think it was like barbecue chicken or something fire that like a cookout. I think it was like hamburgers and hot dogs type cookout thing the last day. That's a fire 3-day menu, bro. Mind you, at the time, that was the first time I had ever had Chick-fil-A. I had never eaten Chick-fil-A before in my life until I had ate it at that church. Now, I liked Chick-fil-A for a while. I don't like Chick-fil-A now. I know that's crazy. Like, you don't like Chick-fil-A? I'm not for Chick-fil-A, bro. I ate Chick-fil-A on 2 separate occasions. And I don't know how else to explain this. As I was eating the chicken sandwich, bro, the chicken just turned into mush in my mouth. Like, it wasn't like a solid chewing of chicken. It was like I was chewing mush. Like everything just turned to mush. Like they created it on, like you see on them cartoons, how they'll take some slop and they'll put it in a machine and it'll spit it out into a burger. That's kind of what I felt like I was going through in that moment. So I ain't ate Chick-fil-A ever since those experiences. But plus Chick-fil-A is expensive and I don't really care about it being expensive, to be honest. See, my thing with food is I'm okay with it being a little pricey as long as it tastes good. If it's something that tastes like anything else I could have got somewhere else for the way cheaper price, now we got a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like McDonald's raising prices for their food is ridiculous. It's not good enough to be raising prices to even the special feature items on the menu. You know what I'm saying? Now, like, I ate Burger King the other day. I realize now I'm not a Burger King guy, bro. I used to love Burger King. I'm not a Burger King guy anymore. I don't know why they put a mountain of mayonnaise on mayonnaise, which I don't know why they put so much of that shit on their Whoppers. It's like when you push down and you bite into the sandwich, like a whole mountain, just a mountain full of mayonnaise come out, bro. And I'm like, this is ridiculous, bro. I always have to wipe that shit off the sandwich. And I don't know why I've never lifted up the bread on a Whopper before I started eating it to see the ridiculous amount of mayonnaise. But it's ridiculous. But then I went to this other white church one time. And I'm in high school at this point with 2 of my homeboys. Because one of my homeboys went to this church. And he was hyping this church up before we went. Like, oh, bro, the service only like an hour, yada, yada, yada. We're going to be able to get out and go to the, watch the game and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And so I went, bruh, for one, I went to sleep the whole service. We had to go through, I think we went to like some class. I'm not for sure. All I remember is they can't sing, bro. And I'm not telling you that white people can't sing. Obviously, it's white people who can sing. This church of white people could not sing, bro. It was like, and the singer had on like some green Irish looking fit. It was crazy, bro. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is ridiculous. I was like, man, what the hell? I went to sleep immediately and my homeboy kept nudging me, like kept putting his elbow on my side. And I told I switched seats with my other homeboy because I whispered to my boy, I said, yo, if this man nudged me, I was finna say something. I said, if this dude nudged me one more time, I'm gonna sock his ass right here in church, bro. I said, I'm gonna knock his ass out right now in church if he nudged me one more time. I said, I do not give a damn if this is the church he go to. I'm going to sleep. They can't sing. The service garbage. I said, I'm ready to leave. I said, if I had a car, I'd leave now. I said, but if this motherfucker nudge me one more time, we gonna fight right here in church. That's the type of demon timing I was on when I was a youngster. But two complete polar opposites. Now, to be fair, like I said, the first church we did have like services and stuff, but it was like fun services for kids, around my age. I just went to a regular service at this other church, bro, and good Lord, bro. I wouldn't mind if I had to go back to Sharp Road at that time. Well, I don't even remember if that's the name of that church, but whatever it was named, if I had to go back there, I wouldn't even mind. I would never go back to that second church, bro. That was god awful. I also went to a church one time in Greensboro. It wasn't all white though. It was like a mixture. I went to sleep in that one too, but I used to be knocked out in church, bro, until I started bringing my phone to church. And then I just started texting on different social sites. Bro, if I went to church today, a service would fly for me because of how I could be on my phone throughout the entirety of the service, bro. Dead serious. Bring some headphones, be looking at a movie or something, but I wouldn't try that in church because I wouldn't want my phone to mess up and something that had never happened at any other time. Now we in church, so now my sound want to blast all out. But we not here for none of that, bro. I done wasted your time for 7 minutes already, bro. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope everybody's Sunday is good. Yo, listen, I watched the Lakers go down by 27 points. Dudes couldn't hit a 3 to save their life, and they still ended up winning the game. Life in the NBA. But listen, we're here to talk about Derek Carr. And where will Derek Carr? I'm confused. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a bit confused because the way people talk about Derek Carr at this moment, you would think this dude like some multi-time all-pro quarterback. Like that's the level he played on a regular basis, religiously give his team chances to win. You would think that the Raiders was, just completely dumb for getting rid of Derek Carr. And some people may think that because they don't have an immediate backup quarterback option. But that's just how it goes sometimes when you do not want to pay. Listen, I don't think the Raiders are stupid for what they did. You can look at you can feel however you want to feel the fact that they didn't have an immediate backup quarterback option. Yes, that is a problem. But that's usually what happens when you hold on to a quarterback for longer than you need to. But sometimes you got to hold on to a quarterback longer than you need to because you don't have backup options. If you're looking at the Raiders, they would have been looking for a backup option for probably the next couple years and being forced to hold on to Derek Carr, paying him more than you wanted to pay him, continuing to fail. Why do that? You can fail with him. So hell, you can fail without him too. So F it. And you don't have to pay him $40+ million to fail. So I got no problem with what the Raiders did, to be completely honest with you. I understand the people who look at it in the short-term view, like, oh, they don't have a backup. How stupid. But that's a price of doing business eventually. That's the price of trying to become great. That's the price of moving on. That's the price of trying to get a new quarterback. It's football. Peyton Manning say, God bless football. I feel that, Peyton. That's the only thing Brady was missing in his second retirement speech, bro. He, was cracking up and everything. And he said, thank you. I love you all. But if he hadn't just hit us with that God bless football, bro, that shit would have been cold. Listen, all respect to Brady because his shit was cold anyways. I mean, that man looked right at the camera and told us, the fans who supported him, he looked right in there. He said, I love you all. And I looked back and I said, but I love you too, Brady, bro. GOAT. Every time Brian get the ball in the game, I be like, Brian. I don't know why I do that shit so much, bro. But anyways, I don't have a problem with the Raiders. But you would think that the people act as if they just got rid of Tom Brady or something, bro. I don't understand why we look at Derek Carr or why people choose to look at him in the lens they look at him recently. But listen, so people talk about, 6 head coaches, this and that. I understand how not having stability at the head coaching spot could cause some problems. I also understand that most great quarterbacks don't run through a multitude of head coaches. Zach Taylor, I continue to say this, is not a good head coach. But this, not only did he get a chance to fail forward, because he should have been fired in Cincinnati anyways, but he got to fail until they got a quarterback there because they already had a good enough team, which is why he should have been fired. Because I just saw Brian Daboll do good with a team that don't have nearly the talent on it that Zach Taylor had on his Cincinnati teams. However, in the interest that he got to fail forward. He gets Joe Burrow. Zach Taylor's not getting fired from that job for a while. Because that's what a good quarterback do for you. He secure that position now. Even if you don't have a good head coach, you'll probably be there for a while if you got a good quarterback. Matter of fact, you can name a couple good quarterbacks right now in the NFL that's done seen the same head coaches throughout their career. Most of them who we didn't even consider great head coaches until they got these quarterbacks. The only exception would probably be John Harbaugh, who was on his way out before Lamar Jackson, and Andy Reid, who hadn't won a Super Bowl before Pat Mahomes. So this Derek Carr had 6 head coaches don't really ring as a valid excuse to me. Because if Derek Carr was a good quarterback, a competent franchise quarterback, he wouldn't be going through multiple head coaches. He would have been stuck on one at least for a couple years because of how great he was. That's not what's happened. Derek Carr had one phenomenal year. I understand people like to use last year where everything was going wrong with the team and Derek Carr was a great leader and he got him to the playoffs, and he was a great leader. But Derek Carr alone did not get that team to the playoffs last year. Go back and check the numbers. Stop being stupid. On top of that, that year that he had last year was nowhere near as good as his actual best year where he actually got hurt at the end of that year. But that's it. In 2 years, really one, but I give him the 2 years. He done made 2 playoff appearances in those 2 years, lost both times. And he didn't even get to play in the first one because he was hurt. So technically, he only really got 1 playoff appearance, even though he helped them get there the first time. He just didn't participate in that game where they lost to the Texans. And then this time they lost to the Bengals last year. So he got 6 head coaches. That wouldn't be the case if Derek Carr was constantly raising the level. And one of the things that really gets me about this Derek Carr conversation is, look at everything right. Because when is the last time you really heard, I hear that people talk about quarterbacks getting multiple offensive coordinators. When is the last time you heard of great quarterbacks running through head coaches, bro? It's just not something that's happened. Josh Allen, still on the same head coach. Burrow, same head coach. Lamar, same head coach. The best quarterbacks in Herbert, haven't really accomplished anything. Still the same head coach. Now, I understand he had Anthony Lynn when he got in there, but Anthony Lynn was probably already on his way out after that first year anyways, because they said, before he got there. So that's not even really a fair comparison. When he got the quarterback, the head coach that they wanted with this quarterback, he done had the same head coach. And people keep saying fire Brandon Staley. It ain't happening, because when you have a quarterback, your head coach got to really be feeling like he holding the quarterback back for them to make a change. Andy Reid obviously don't even need to be said because he was a great head coach before he got Pat Mahomes, but he wasn't a Super Bowl winning head coach before he got Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes probably won't see another quarterback until Reid retired. Like most quarterbacks who are great, who are actual franchise quarterbacks, Cam Newton, Tom Brady. Like Peyton Manning was one of the rare ones who had 2 head coaches or 3 head coaches. And I'm not even talking about when he went to Denver. I'm just talking, and he had multiple head coaches in Denver too. He like one of the rare Hall of Famers who had multiple head coaches, but we know Peyton Manning was the offense. He called his own offense. But that's like one of the rare ones. And I'm not finna go all the way back in the day. But most of the quarterbacks have the same. So this is very interesting with this Derek Carr, where that's the big excuse. Because they can't use he ain't never had weapons. Now, I saw somebody the other day on ESPN try to say, well, they always hurt. Bro, Derek Carr, are you serious? I get, for one, Darren Waller has been hurt. He's still been on the field far more than enough to give Derek Carr value. Bro, I done seen him on the field where it feel like he ain't even on the field. Derek Carr done had weapon. He done had all pro weapons. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not telling you he had Pro Bowl weapons. He done had receivers who have made either the first or second team all pro. He done had great utility receivers, which is something that a lot of people might not understand what a utility receiver is. That's usually a slot receiver or a smaller receiver who can sometimes play outside, but mainly he play in the slot. He do a lot with short routes, the drag routes. He great on third down, like a Wes Welker type, a Hunter Renfrow type, I forgot, Julian Edelman type. Those is like the utility receiver. And I know that's going to sound disrespectful to some, but it is what it is. Because I'm never going to look at those type of receivers and think, oh, yeah, that's Devontae Adams or Julio. It's not. Like, I continue to be one of the people who sounded like a Julian Edelman hater because he played in an era where I was watching Julio Jones in his prime, Megatron, Andre Johnson, Steve Smith Sr., AB. How would I watch those guys and turn around and say Julian Edelman just because the Patriots' success? I would then say, yeah, he just as good as. That's stupid. Use your brain. Anyways, Derek Carr done had all pro players at the receiving positions. He done had great tight end. He done had great running back help. He done had times, and people like to say, oh, look at the line. Look at it. Derek Carr had a good amount of time where he had a phenomenal offensive line. He done had more at his disposal than most quarterbacks get at their disposals, especially for considering he had a lot of these things at the same fucking time. It ain't like 1 year he had a receiver and then the next year he had the line and then the next year. No. Derek Carr done had a pretty great group around him, solid above average, far above average group around him for a long time. How is it? We like to give Amari Cooper hell, right? Because people was like, oh, he quit in games and shit like that. I mean, bro, my quarterback shouldn't let his best receiver be quitting in games if you feel that way. I don't know how Derek Carr never got blamed for that. But the way I see them blame quarterbacks left and right for stuff that actually ain't the quarterback's fault, the fact that he can't keep his best receiver engaged, a top flight receiver in the NFL, he done had Devontae Adams. You see how that went? Like, these excuses that now maybe the reason people making these type of excuses for Derek Carr is because listen, everybody need a quarterback. It's a whole bunch of teams in the NFL that need a quarterback, and when Derek Carr hit the market, he looked good to a lot of teams because a lot of teams don't have a high pick in the draft. They don't have a chance to go up and get a quarterback. They don't have a chance to trade for a quarterback. So they saying this look better than what we have. However, I would really caution teams that I see teams talking about, oh, he could go to the Jets and that's immediately a Super Bowl team. That's interesting to me because I love the Jets defense. I love the Jets offense. I love the offensive pieces they have, not including the quarterback. But Derek Carr, for the people who keep saying, well, he better than Zach Wilson and everything they got. That's true. He might be. But by how much? Because this is what's confusing me about people who talking about, do you not or did you not watch Derek Carr in Vegas and Oakland? Like I said, he done had weapons. But on top of him having weapons, Derek Carr's problem ain't the lack of weapons, the lack of a great head coach and all this other nonsense. Like I said, great quarterbacks make bad head coaches look great all the time. And if they don't make them look great, they make them look competent. Derek Carr is inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get from Derek Carr. That's the reason John Gruden wouldn't commit to him. That's the reason why you constantly thought they was going to try to make a move at the quarterback position. Because Derek Carr had the weapons around him. And you saw some of the games, some of the decision making. The lack of being able to and one of the biggest problems I have with a Derek Carr, not necessarily with a Derek Carr the person, but the type of quarterback played, the product that he done put on the field. You shit on a quarterback like Lamar Jackson with the resume that he got, but then you come out here and swoop in to try to defend Derek Carr, who done have far more at his disposal than a Lamar Jackson. Far more at his disposal than a Lamar Jackson, and has not accomplished nearly what Lamar Jackson has accomplished. Has not played on the level of a Lamar Jackson. Does not raise the level of talent around him. And that's one of my biggest problems, because when you have that type of talent, see, this lie that people tell you that they want the quarterback to be able to raise the level of talent. You really don't want that. You say you want that. You don't. You want the quarterback to have pieces around him so that you can say he raised those already great pieces. Because when you have a quarterback like a Lamar Jackson, like a Pat Mahomes, that legitimately raises the level of talent, You can't see the difference with Pat Mahomes because you keep saying he got Tyreek, and you don't give Lamar Jackson no credit. Oh, he a running back. He can't do that. He can't. So do you actually want quarterbacks who can raise the level of talent? Because you got two of them in the NFL right now. The best quarterback in the NFL and the second best quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. The only two that have actually proven, to me, they actually raise the level of play of less talented players around them. You don't really want that. You want them to play with all Pro Bowl level players so you can then take credit from those receivers and say, it's the quarterback. Am I lying? Because that's what's happening over there in Cincinnati. I'm just saying. So Derek Carr have the pieces. He don't have to raise their level of play because they already talented. And he can't even get them over humps still. You keep giving him all this credit for getting them to the playoffs. But you shit on Lamar Jackson, who was far younger, been in the league less time, for losing in the playoffs. Derek Carr ain't won in the playoffs and he only made 2 appearances. Lamar Jackson, every year he'll start is in the playoffs. And has a playoff win. And has played good in the playoffs. Contrary to what people would like to say. So I'm very confused at this mob of people that's run to Derek Carr's defense. Maybe desperation is a beautiful thing. Because maybe that's what's got Derek Carr feeling like Tom Brady, the second coming of Tom. Because it's ridiculous. Because I don't see a team that Derek Carr could go to right now where he go to that team and that's a Super Bowl contending team. Not the Jets, not the Commanders, not the Panthers, not the Saints. Because Derek Carr is not that guy. And I mean that with all due respect. Derek Carr don't raise the level of play around him. When he had the talent, he couldn't even be sufficient enough to just ride a steady boat like like Baker Mayfield had to do that one year where he had all that talent around him, but he wasn't good enough. So you can't put him on a team where all you ask him to do is the bare minimum, because he proven, even with talent around him, he ain't good enough at the bare minimum. And then you can't put him on a less talented team and expect him to go to a Super Bowl because he ain't done that either. He inaccurate at times. He throw too many turnovers at times. Inefficient in the pocket at times. Not really got great pocket presence at times. It's so many things in Derek Carr's prop see, it's one thing when you say Lamar got a problem here or there, Joe Burrow got. These are young quarterbacks who haven't even spent 5, 6, 7, 8 years in the league. They on year 3, 4, 5. They haven't been in the league as long as Derek Carr. Derek Carr done been in the league through 2 contracts now. Most of these young dudes ain't even seen the first contract yet. Or the first extension yet. Derek Carr shouldn't still be having these same problems. Yet, here we are. Now, you could plug Derek Carr onto a team and they could be a playoff caliber team. I absolutely agree with that. But Derek Carr got a terrible record in cold weather. So if you plug him into the Jets, a team that does not play in a dome, what am I supposed to expect when it start getting cold in New York or in New Jersey? And then you got to go play in Buffalo, New England. Them ain't cold. Them ain't warm weather cities. This is freezing cold temperatures you're going to be playing in late in the year. Derek Carr done shown me with talent, Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, a great offensive line. I'm not going to name all his secondary good receivers that he done had at because he done had a lot of good backup receivers too that's filling those other spots, but I'm not going over all them at the moment. Needless to say, it's always feel like Derek Carr is plays that's left on the field because Derek Carr can't make these throws. He can't escape this pressure right here. He didn't see this coming. He don't put like Derek Carr to me has yet to put together multiple franchise quarterback seasons, which is why it ain't shocking to me that the Raiders is decided to part ways with him. It makes sense if you want a franchise. And another thing, this is what I'm saying. The way Lamar Jackson done been criticized in the media, Derek Carr done been in the league this long, has never given you any inclination that he is going to be a top tier quarterback or a franchise quarterback. People who call him a franchise quarterback are literally giving out Spirit Awards because if what Derek Carr has put together so far in his career is what we consider a franchise quarterback, then we just talking about longevity on a team then. Because Derek Carr has never been a franchise quarterback. He literally done, if that's the case in the match, excuse me, Matt Schaub is a franchise quarterback in that case. Like, cause I know quarterbacks who really get heat. Cam Newton took a team to a Super Bowl with no talent around him on the offensive side of the ball, except for Greg Olsen. And I see people shit on him all the time. Lamar Jackson is carrying a franchise with no real talent around him, except for Mark Andrews. And people shit on him all the time. You literally got dudes like Mad Dog Russo getting on TV talking about some shitting on Lamar Jackson every chance he get. Emmanuel Acho shitting on Lamar Jackson every time. Jeremy Fowler. Like, dudes legitimately is shitting on these legit franchise quarterbacks every chance they get. And this is why I tell you, you have to sit down, do some critical thinking. The media, the sports media is garbage. They are biased. And there's some good ones out there. But you should have a problem when you actually sit down and you watch a Lamar Jackson and you put everything into perspective on what this kid done been able to accomplish with what he's been given, but the team is yet to do for him compared to his counterparts. And you would be disgusted with how these analysts talk about him. You would be disgusted with the same old narratives that they use on a regular basis because you watch the games. Which is why I got a problem with Chicago Bears fans, because I had a dude tell me in the comment section, he's not a Chicago Bears fan, or maybe he is. But I actually agree with what he said. Just because you watch, I took his comment the wrong way. I immediately looked at his comment, thought he was talking to me. I actually should have did some thinking, because his comment is actually right. It don't matter how much film, how much full games you watch. You can still not know what the fuck you was watching. That is a fact. I watch as much film and games as anybody else. I don't know if I'd have missed a Justin Fields game. It is really confusing to me when I watch Chicago Bears fans sit down and say they watch every single snap Justin Fields done played and they see a franchise quarterback. That baffles me, because I have yet to see Justin Fields show me that he is a franchise quarterback. But you got Chicago Bears fans who think that motherfucker is better than Lamar Jackson, who legitimately are saying I would not trade him for Lamar. For one, Justin Fields is only a year or two younger than Lamar Jackson. That's the first thing. Lamar is 25 or 26, bro. Like, y'all act like he is like 40, 32. Y'all are weird. You pray for a quarterback. Like, if any bozo is thinking to himself, I hope we get Stetson Bennett. Lamar Jackson younger than Stetson Bennett. I took that moment of silence right there so your stupidity you could reflect on it, so it could soak in on you. Back to Derek Carr. So all the things that I done said about Derek Carr, I know we're talking about where he's going to end up going, but these are the things that really confuse me. This is why I'm using so many different comparisons, because Derek Carr, for one, he had this one year where it was a lot of dinking and dunking, and that was wild too, but when you really sit down and watch Derek Carr, like I said, you got to throw out all these nonsense excuses. Derek Carr just is not getting it done. You expect your franchise quarterback to be able to raise his level of play when everything is not going great around him. That's what Lamar do. That's what Pat Mahomes do. That's what Burrow done. That's what Josh Allen has done. That's what many quarterbacks have done, and Derek Carr has never done it. But for some reason, people keep acting as if he will do it now. We done seen Lamar be great, but people act like he won't continue to be great. You've never seen Derek Carr be a franchise quarterback, but for some reason they expect you throw him on a new team, he will be. I saw somebody say the other day, Derek Carr has never had a top 10 defense. That does not matter. You keep fishing for these fucking stupid excuses to bail Derek Carr out for what he really done been. Patrick Mahomes don't got a superstar defense or a top tier defense. It's a lot of quarterbacks who ain't had top tier defenses, bro. You cannot use that as an excuse. A top tier defense can be used as the excuse of not winning a Super Bowl. You can't use that as your excuse for why you bad on a regular basis, bro. Aaron Rodgers was playing with a God awful defense. Motherfuckers was giving up 30 a game, basically. They was in the playoffs every year. Like this excuse, because Tom Brady was fortunate enough to play with great defenses. Every defense Peyton played with wasn't a great defense. These teams were still competitive on a yearly basis. Lamar Jackson went into last season playing with basically nothing. I'm talking about the season before this one. Everybody was hurt on the team. He still had that team first in the AFC. Quarterbacks that are that guy make a difference when you don't have everything around you. Derek Carr has never been that guy. And this ain't personal. This ain't no slight at Derek Carr. It's just the truth. So when you ask me, where should Derek Carr land? Where will he land? Hell, I don't really care where he land. You can send him to New York. You can send him to Carolina, the Saints, the Falcons. You can send him anywhere. Wherever Derek Carr goes, what I'm telling you, they ain't winning a Super Bowl. And I'm not even going to guarantee they're going to be in the playoffs. You put Derek Carr on the Jets right now, that's not a playoff team to me. Because the same problem will end up occurring when the season ends. The quarterback position. This Derek Carr thing's starting to look a lot like Carson Wentz. Oh, he might still got something left in the tank if he get to my system. Derek Carr can say he done had more talent around him than hell even Carson Wentz had. And he ain't even had the heights that Carson Wentz had. So, sure, plug him into the Jets. I still think they will end up not making the playoffs. Plug him into the and if the Jets make the playoffs, to me, it won't be because of Derek Carr. You can plug him into and people will say, well, you know, the Jets got a good running back now. He had a good running back in Oakland and in Vegas. Well, you know, they got a great receiver. He had a better receiver in Oakland and in Vegas. So all these, it's much like I said about a couple years ago when everybody was hyping up the Chargers. Not the Chargers. Phillip Rivers going to the Colts. And I was like, this makes no fucking sense to me that people is hyping this move up. Because the Colts don't have, the only thing that they have right now that's better than the Chargers is the offensive line. And that's not even definitive. Because at the time, they weren't actually the best offensive line. But at the time, I was like, the Colts they don't have better receivers than what he got right now in San Diego. Or in, because they were still in San Diego when he went there. They don't have a better run game than what he got in San Diego. They don't have better defenders. Now, it would end up being the case that they did end up being a better defense. But still, I was like, just for Phillips' perspective, why is the Colts going to make the playoffs? And they did end up making the playoffs. But why would this be a playoff team, a Super Bowl caliber team, when they got less talent on the offensive side of the ball than he had with the Chargers? Like, that made no sense to me. That's basically what we're looking at right now. But on top of this, Phillip Rivers was actually a great quarterback. Derek Carr ain't never been no Phillip Rivers. So, hell, plug him in wherever you want to plug him in at. It's very hard for me to see Derek Carr moving the needle for a team that much. Maybe if you a team that's got such bad quarterback play, and maybe New York is better than me, even I'm realizing, to where they could take a competent quarterback. Because I think Derek Carr is an average quarterback. Maybe the New York Jets, and my biggest problem with, maybe this is the thing. Derek Carr in the AFC doesn't do anything for me. Because you got Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. He ain't getting through them 4 quarterbacks, in my opinion. And you can't trust that your defense is going to be able to get through those 4 quarterbacks because those are special quarterbacks. We just saw what Pat Mahomes was able to do to an Eagles team. It take that type of quarterback. The quarterback going to have to do something. And I just don't have no faith in Derek Carr. And you got Trevor Lawrence. So I actually think if he going to make a move, New York ain't the move. I think he need to make a move to the NFC. Because while I don't think he'll be the best quarterback in the NFC either, I think he could be one of the top quarterbacks in a long list of average to competent quarterbacks. I don't think I would take him over Dak Prescott. I would barely take him over. I wouldn't take him over Kirk Cousins. So that's what we're dealing with right now, to be completely honest with you. And maybe you'll start to see that when he on his next team, but I'm not fooled. So with that being said, I appreciate you for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. I'm about to go get me something to eat. Listen, you can be anything in the world. Choose to be kind to somebody today. Saint out.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, she know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber, you out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home.